So AMD's Ryzen 5 3500 and Ryzen 7 3700, both of them they are the Zen 2 processors from AMD, and we are going to look at the comparative differences between them and if it's worth going for the Ryzen 7 3700X when compared to Ryzen 5 3500X. What I see, and that makes sense, that Ryzen 5 35000 is the best selling processor, and there seems to be a reason for that. If you look at the clock frequency, both of them have a base clock of 3.6 gigahertz. So if you are looking for a quick single thread performance, they both will perform same. Even though the turbo clock is slightly higher at 4.4 gigahertz, in most of the scenarios that turbo clock will not get used. You don't hit that kind of processing power requirement, so you will stay under 3.6 gigahertz or under 4.1 gigahertz. The difference start getting visible only when you hit this 4.1 gigahertz. So that's one thing. The advantage of Ryzen 7 comes from two different things. One, its number of cores, which are 8 cores and 12 threads here. The Ryzen 7 3700X, it goes to 8 cores and 16 threads. So if you have a heavy multi-threading kind of job load, you are doing a rendering or something like that for a long period of time, for an extended period of time, Ryzen 7 gives you a little bit of advantage. What you need to think is, do you do that kind of processing thing very often? You are a corporate customer where a small amount of tiny amount of time advantage of getting something like a compiling done quickly, then Ryzen 7 makes sense at $289. Other than that, Ryzen 5 3500, it should be good enough for many other things. These processors compete with Intel's 9th generation processor, but I will have another comparison for that in some other things. So for some, okay, the another thing that this Ryzen 7 gets advantage is the L3 cache, just 16 MB versus 32 MB, and that sometimes make a reasonable amount of differences. In terms of the other technical details, this is the Zen 2 was the first time Intel started transitioning from Global Foundries 12 nanometer to the TSMC's 7 nanometer processing technology. But still, even though it's using TSMC's 7 nanometer processor, the whole chip is a mix of the 7 nanometer and 12 nanometer chiplets. Like on the center sits their IO chiplet that does all the IO kind of things, and it interconnects with all the different cores. So that's one thing AMD has executed very well. Instead of waiting for the complete chip to 7 nanometer, it used proven technologies for this IO chiplet and then combined it with the CPU, which requires a more dense packaging and packing. So if you are looking for even better processor, you can go for 3900X, which with even higher 12 core, but then you will need $229, or even higher 16 core with 3950X at $709. I think all of them, they fit into, at least these two fit into the AM4 socket, and also 3900X. Not sure about 3950X, but I think this also fits in. They use the same motherboard, so you can use an existing motherboard, maybe use this processor and see if that's good enough for you. If not, keep upgrading as and when your compile time or you need more processing power. It looks like these processors do not come with an integrated graphics, and you will have to rely upon an external cards. And other than that, other aspects are the same for these two processors, and hope that helps you. Thanks for taking a look.